Hi again, everyone. At this point, I'll be presenting the bonus perspectives of ISO 27001-2013 annexes. So as not to bore you, I'll just give you a gist, and basically the key idea of this presentation is for you to see how can these standards work for your organization in as far as database management system requirements are concerned, of course with a focus on auditing and data security. So the annex, as far as perspectives are concerned, includes 114 controls and 14 domains that cuts across different aspects of security. It is flexible so that no requirement to implement any control. So as long as you can justify it, then basically you can take it away. So there's a statement of applicability. Also, there's a mix of technical, non-technical, administrative, and personnel requirements. So it's up to you how you want to go about with this one. And it's comprehensive, but not exhaustive. So you can actually create your own controls, free to look at other standards as necessary, just like that of NIST and SANS.org. So here are actually the different segments of the information security domains. So it can focus on security policy management, corporate security management, the human resources security management, organizational asset management, information access management, cryptography, policy management, the physical and environmental security management, the operational security management, network security management, security, system security management, supplier relationship management, incident management, continuity management, and compliance management as applied to security. So here we can see that the information security policies, of course, look into the management direction for information security so that you can actually provide the management direction and support for information security in accordance to business requirements and relevant laws and regulations. Likewise, the organizational aspects of information security in order for us to establish a framework to initiate and control the implementation and operation of information security within the organization. It may actually include controls on the roles and responsibility, and as far as I is concerned, the segregation of duties, the contact with authorities, among others. Also, it includes the concept of mobile devices and teleworking so that we are ensured that the security of teleworking and the use of mobile devices are actually managed. Also, of course, human resource security is very important so that we can ensure that, like prior to employment, we see that employees and contractors understand their responsibilities and are suitable for the roles for which they are considered. So that includes screening and terms and conditions of employment. For during employment, we would, of course, also want that the employees and contractors are aware of and fulfill their information security responsibilities. So that includes the management responsibilities, information security awareness, education and training, and disciplinary process among the controls. Also, for asset management, we would want to define the responsibility for assets so that the organization can identify its assets and appropriate protection for the responsibilities. This includes inventory of assets, the ownership of assets, acceptable use of assets, and of course, the return of assets. For information classification, this ensures that information receives an appropriate level of protection in accordance with its importance to the organization. So it definitely includes the classification of information, the labeling of information, and the handling of assets. Likewise, for media handling, it basically prevents unauthorized disclosure, modification, removal, or destruction of information stored on media. So it may actually include the management of removable media, the disposal of media, and physical media transfer. For access controls, this includes the business requirements of access control in order for us to limit access of information and information processing facilities. So it includes, of course, what we have talked about, even with the module with regards to access control policies and access to networks and services, depending on what the organization actually would most likely be able to agree on. For user access management, it ensures that authorized user access and of course prevent the unauthorized access to systems and services. So it may actually include the user registration and deregistration, user access provisioning, the management of privileged access rights, the management of secret authentication, and basically review of user access rights and removal or adjustment of access rights. This also includes the concept of user responsibilities for access control, where we would want to make users accountable for safeguarding their authentication information. So this may actually include the use of secret authentication information. We'd also apply system and application access controls to prevent unauthorized access to systems and applications. And this may include information access restriction and secure login procedures. For cryptography, we talk about the cryptographic controls, which focuses on ensuring proper and effective use of cryptography to protect the confidentiality, authenticity, and or integrity of information. So of course, there's the policy and the use of cryptographic controls and key management. For physical and environmental security, we are, of course, concerned with the secure areas to prevent unauthorized physical access, damage, and interference to the organization's information and information processing facilities. And it may actually include the physical security perimeter, the entry controls, the securing offices, rooms, and facilities, among others. For equipment, we'd want to prevent the loss, damage, theft, or compromise of assets and interruption to the organization's operations. And it may actually include the concepts of equipment sitting and protection, supporting utilities, cabling security, equipment maintenance, and the other controls as you can see here. For operation security, we would want, of course, to include also the operational procedures and responsibilities to ensure the correct and secure operations of information processing facilities. And it may actually include documenting the operating procedures, change management, capacity management, and separation of development, testing, and operational environments. We also want to look into the protection from malware to ensure that information and information processing facilities are protected against malware. For backup, we'd of course want to protect against the loss of backup. Logging and monitoring focuses on to recording events and generating evidence. So there's the concept of event logging, protection of log information, administrator and operator logs, and clock synchronization, among others. We also want to control, of course, operational software to ensure the integrity of operational systems. And of course, it's also important for the technical vulnerability management to prevent the exploitation of technical vulnerabilities. For information systems audit considerations, we would want to minimize the impact of audit activities on operational systems. So we would want to set, of course, information system audit controls. For communication security, one of the important concepts would that be of network security management. So we'd want to ensure the protection of information in networks and its supporting information processing facilities. So that includes the network control, security of network services, and segregation in networks. We'd also want to talk about the information transfer so that we would want to maintain the security of information transfer within an organization and with any external entity. And it may include information transfer policies and procedures, agreements on information transfer, electronic messaging and confidentiality, or non-disclosure agreements. When we talk about system acquisition, development, and maintenance, it's important for us to also include the security requirements of information systems to ensure that the information security is an integral part of information systems across the life cycle. And it may actually include controls on information security requirements analysis and specification, securing application services on public networks, and protecting application services transactions. For security and development and support processes, we'd want to ensure that information and security is designed and implemented within the development lifecycle of information systems and may actually include any of these controls. For test data, of course, the interest is to ensure the protection of data used for testing. For supplier relationships, we'd want information security in supplier relationships to ensure protection of the organization's assets that is accessible by suppliers. So you'd want, of course, a security policy for supplier relationships, addressing security within supplier agreements and information and communication technology supply chain. For the supplier service delivery management, we'd want to maintain an agreed level of information security and service delivery in line with supplier agreements. And that may include monitoring and review of supplier services, managing changes to supplier services. Incident management is a very important concept to ensure, of course, consistent and effective approach to management system of information security incidents, including that of communication on security events and weaknesses, and may actually include defining responsibilities and procedures, reporting information security events, reporting information security weaknesses, among others. For information security continuity, of course, it encompasses the concept of business continuity, and we would want them to be embedded in the organization's system of implementing information security. So you'd want to have planning information security continuity, implementing information security continuity, and verifying, reviewing, and evaluating information security continuity. Redundancies is another important concept to ensure the availability of information processing facilities. And compliance, of course, is something we'd want to look into. First, of legal and contractual requirements. Of course, we would want to avoid breaches of legal, statutory, regulatory, or contractual obligations related to information security and of any security requirements. And that may include, of course, one of the most talked about topic, the Data Privacy Act. So please be very careful, especially in storing, handling, and processing sensitive information, which are defined within the Data Privacy Act. And you may actually look into these controls as you how can you actually control the implementation in your organization of information security as applied to the database management. Likewise, we'd want information security reviews to ensure that information security is implemented and operated in accordance with organizational policies and procedures. And this may include independent review of information security, the compliance with security policies and standards, and technical compliance review.